first of all.
Thanks, Idris. Yes, you guessed correctly. I'm not Yasmin Khan. I'm not the elegant and articulate Yasmin Khan. She can't be with us here tonight, and so Idris has asked me if I could do this introduction. As he said, my name is Paul Cantrell. I manage Open Door North East, which is a BME charity that works with the refugee and asylum community, specialises in housing and employability and community coherence, things like that. Middlesbrough's current population is around 138,900 people. 11.8% of the population is estimated to be Black, Asian and minority ethnic. Compared with the regional average of around 8.2%. This makes Middlesbrough one of the most diverse places to live in the northeast of England. Middlesbrough's BME community dates back to the 1860s when Jewish people from Europe suffering persecution began to settle in the town. Since then, we've had a lot of diverse communities come here, from South Asia, from the Horn of Africa, other parts of the Commonwealth. Others have come through trade, and our history as a port, an industrial centre, and as a university. Others have come both historically and more recently because of conflicts around the world, persecution. They've come as refugees. And finally, others have come to settle here as a result of free movement within the EU. Our BME community makes up 10% of the electors in this election. The BME vote is very important. That's why you're all here tonight. The hopes, dreams and aspirations of the BME community need to be heard, and they need to be heard by these candidates. Although I am white British, I moved here from Birmingham in 1991. And I faced a few difficulties and prejudices at the time because I wasn't from this area. I now manage a local BME charity, and I've become acutely aware of the particular different difficulties that BME community members can face in their search for jobs, housing, education and other services. Particularly when your culture and worldview is different from the local culture and worldview. My daughters use language like, I love tea like me, or how do mate. They speak the local lingo, but many people, especially new settlers in the town, don't, and that can lead to barriers. Tonight is all about hearing what these gentlemen, the candidates for mayor, hope to achieve in serving this town, and how they will look to ensure the issues that affect our BME communities are heard and addressed. Some of the issues that are central to this election face everyone in the town, but there are other issues that are specific to the BME communities. These include things like social marginalisation and isolation, Islamophobia and hate crime, barriers to affordable housing amongst the refugee community, lack of representation of the BME community within the council, both in terms of elected members and officers, and also in other public services, honour-based violence and FGM, integration and community cohesion, the under-resourcing of the voluntary sector, which has had to pick up and run where the council's closed various services, like the council used to have an asylum team, it no longer does. And a lack of school spaces, particularly in the town centre where the majority of BME community members live. I will finish now but by saying that tonight is about Middlesbrough. Okay, we had a general election going on, and tonight is not really about national and international politics, it's about this town, our town. So I hope that in your questions you will keep the focus on Middlesbrough tonight. So I will end now, and I'm going to hand over to Baz, who's going to chair the proceeding.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. As Paul and Idris have said, it's lovely to see quite a large audience here, and everyone's welcome for this Hustings event. And BME Network have been here a long, long time, and I was one of the initial founders of the network, and Idris is doing a wonderful job. The infrastructure organisation is here to get views and opinions of marginalised communities across, and we've got potential decision makers on this table who will take those views forward and then hopefully work for the town and improve the services of our marginalised communities. As you said, my name is Babir Noah, more commonly known as Baz, even at work and at home. As Paul said, I was a young man coming from West Yorkshire, came in to study here and settled down in the North East. So I've had similar situations and gone through similar experiences as Paul in terms of various issues around hate crime, and that's one of the issues that we hopefully will be tackled throughout this campaign. To ensure that we have a beneficial and a productive evening, what I'd like to urge is that just some house rulings, and just to give you an indication of the format of the evening that we're gonna go forward with. In a few moments, each of the candidates will have an opportunity to give their manifesto and their visions for what they will do for Middlesbrough, and they'll have a maximum of 4 minutes for that, and that'll be done in alphabetical order. Once that's done, we'll follow that up with question and answer session. We've had questions which have been submitted, so they will get the priority in terms of answering, and each candidate will be given 1.5 minutes to answer that question. And what I would urge is that, if possible, we don't really have any follow-up from that, because we're strict on time, and we don't really want to carry on and just be stuck on one question for a long time. So 1.5 minutes will be given to each candidate with that. Just to clarify as well from the onset that we do require we don't really require speeches from the floor, because sometimes in these situations we can get into a slamming match, and we're here to listen to the candidates and the questions that are put forward to get answers. As I said, we don't want sort of follow up and come into some sort of issues. So I would just concise, relevant questions which have been submitted. If you have extra time available, then the floor will be opened up and questions will be put forward.
Could I just ask one question, sir? I didn't know that you had to put a letter in. Nobody told us that this was going to happen. I was told that you could put your hand up and you would be able to.
The publicity was put out in terms of submissions of questions. We've got a number of submissions. If we have time, then we will take questions from the floor, sir.
Yeah, what I'm asking is, where were they printed out so people like myself would have sent one in? We knew nothing about this.
It was through the network and through the other VCS organisations that was put through. So moving on. On behalf of the BME Network and CDFFM and partner organisations, I would like to thank the candidates from the onset for their time tonight and wish them all the best for the ballot box. I also would like to thank you, the most important people, is the community of Middlesbrough this evening. Without further ado, I take it forward to get the manifestos from the candidates, and as I said, in alphabetical order, we're going to start off with Andy Preston, who's the independent, so he has 4 minutes to give his vision.
Can you hear me at the back? Yes. Okay, I'm going to dish this. Right, so I've got 4 minutes. I'm Andy Preston. I've got a middle name. Okay, my name is Andy Preston.
Well done, Andy.
I've got a middle name. It's Lockroom. Does that sound English? It's not. It's an immigrant name. My great-grandmother came to this country for a better life. She actually fell on hard times. Bad things happened. She had a baby before she was married. She ended up destitute, she ended up in the poorhouse and the workhouse. Despite that, her son prospered, and his son prospered, and then his son prospered. That's me. Right? That's me. Now, they've worked hard, and I've worked hard. I've created things. I've gone out into the world and I've built big businesses for banks. I've negotiated multi-billion-dollar investments. I've done that, not other people. I'm a doer, not a talker. If you Google what I've done, you'll see this. I'm not a fantasist. I believe in hard work, I believe in ambition, I believe in fairness, I believe in prayer, and I believe in sharing wealth. For the last 2 weeks, I've been at the mosque and I've joined in prayers with Imam Wajid. And what I hear from Imam Wajid is exactly what I was brought up with. To work hard, to respect other people, to be merciful to your enemies, to want good things, but to share them. I want to be Mayor of Middlesbrough because I want to see it improve. I want to focus on 5 key areas. The first one is jobs. I want to create good jobs. This must be the only town in Britain where the taxi drivers have often got degrees. I've got a plan for that. I want this to be the most skilled town in England. I've got a plan for that. We can be the most tech-savvy town in England to create the best new technology jobs. And I know about technology. When an event was held at Buckingham Palace for people in technology from across Britain, I was the only person from Teesside invited. When Prince Charles came up to Teesside to understand the area, he got 10 people together. I was one of the 10. I sat on the Royal Train next to Prince Charles. I'm not pretending he's a friend, but I'm not a talker, I'm a doer. Check out what I do. I'll focus on investment. I win investment for businesses and for charities. I've raised £1 million locally from rich people to help the homeless, to stop food banks, to help the poorest kids in school, and to help community groups. I'll do more of that. I'm working with brilliant schools in the poorest areas. I'll do more of that. We'll have the best schools. The poorest kids should go to good schools. And lastly, I'll focus on ambition. I want Middlesbrough to have a 6,000-seater arena entertainment complex. I want us to host colossal conferences. The reason I want that is because I want that business to come into town. I want to see busy shops. I want to see busy restaurants. I want people's perception of the town to start to change. I want to see a big theatre in the centre of town because I want to boost the centre of town. I've already got a big business name locally who will back it. Now, you don't know who to believe. Everyone's going to say good stuff. I'm a doer, not a talker. Google me. See what I've done. I've been in this town since 2003, working with community groups, helping people who need help for no profit and no gain. I think I'm the only person that actually brought money into Middlesbrough. I've never taken any money out of Middlesbrough. We can make this a much more prosperous town, where our kids can have exciting careers and our businesses prosper. I can't do that, but we can do it. If you work with me, together we can make Middlesbrough better. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you very much. That was Andy Preston, Independent. Now we'll move on to David Budd from the Labour Party.
Thanks, Bill. First thing I'd like to say is I'm Middlesbrough through and through. I was born here, I was raised here, I raised my kids here, and I continue to live here with my wife. And this is a unique place, as we all know, with immense potential. And as Mayor, I will make sure that all the people in the town benefit from what we can do. I live and work here every day, and I understand the town because it's my home. My father was a teacher who worked in schools across the area and fought for workers' rights as a trade unionist. He is still my inspiration. He taught me values around equality and how to fight for them. He taught me what I believe in. And I believe in Middlesbrough and its potential and its communities and its people and its businesses. And these are the same values that made me join the Labour Party. I'm proud to be a member of the Labour Party. We're a party that fights for social justice and fairness. It tackles inequalities and creates a fairer society. We are the only party that does that, and we will do that for Middlesbrough, and we offer a positive vision of our town. As Deputy Mayor, I was proud to lead the campaign for the living wage for people in the council to ensure that people got a fair day's wage for a fair day's work, and if elected, I will go further than that. In difficult times, people see their pay packets squeezed and people are forced into the hand of payday lenders. And as Mayor, I'll make it my business to tackle this scourge of payday lenders and high interest rate lenders and launch a community bank from Middlesbrough and all its people to provide loans at fair rates and security for the people of our town. Before I entered politics, I was a local bank manager and I helped local businesses and local people with their aspirations. I got a lot of knowledge from that and I will use that as Mayor to help with other businesses. But as a resident of Middlesbrough, I understand our challenges as well as the opportunities. We've faced massive cuts from central government and made some difficult decisions, but at the same time the Council and I have secured £500 million of investment. This isn't a promise, this isn't something that might happen, this is happening now. We have housing at record numbers for all over the town. We have leisure facilities such as our world-class sports village. Go and have a look, it's opening soon. We've invested in heritage from the town hall regeneration to the transporter bridge. We have a new hotel looking out to Centre Square, something which was a very difficult project, which I was pleased to lead on. The digital economy, the advanced manufacturing in Middlehaven, transport links, the university, and our teesside industry, a lot of which is outside of Middlesbrough, is still so important to the people of Middlesbrough. We've also got to look outside of our boundaries and not just look at Middlesbrough. We're not just a town of 138,000 people, we are part of a city region of 650,000 people, so we should lift our heads up and act like that. I launched my manifesto on Monday, and it is about fairer, safer and stronger Middlesbrough. Some of the items it includes is around becoming a dementia-friendly town. If there's anybody in this room whose family has not been touched by dementia, I'll be very surprised. This is an important and lost item. We should do something about that, and we can. I'll also work with community groups of all faiths and none to ensure that everybody's voice is heard. I've been doing that for some years. I'm proud to be chair of the Middlesbrough Interfaith Network, and it has produced some principles which I think we all agreed on, all the churches, all the mosques, etc., agreed on how we should approach this election around fairness. So Middlesbrough's changing, and changing for the better, but there's still much to do, and I know I have experience, knowledge and vision to continue taking Middlesbrough forward. I hope you do too, and will support me on the 7th of May to make this town all we know it can be. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to Dave Roberts, independent candidate.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dave Roberts. I'm 50 years of age. Independent candidate. I like to think I'm a truly independent candidate. I'm not funded by anybody. I'm funding my campaign myself. I've given up my job to do this. That's how passionate I am about the town of Middlesbrough. It's a town I was born in, I've been raised in, and a town I love dearly. I agree with Dave, it's a great town, it's a fantastic town. We are probably the most honest people in the United Kingdom. There's a beauty that comes with honesty. We call a spade a spade. And we know there are issues in this town, but it's a town that we should be proud of. And this is why I'm saying I will be mayor and make a difference. Because we need to sell this town. And we need to sell all the benefits of this town. Our industrial and engineering excellence, the heritage. We built the Sydney Harbour Bridge when other people said it was impossible to do. The labour force we have, already skilled, needs very little to turn it into the labour force that is needed for the digital economy. And Andy's right. University of Teesside, it won University of the Year, was 2009. We've got now Middlesbrough College with its STEM centre. Fantastic engineering brilliance on our doorstep. We have wonderful countryside. This is the message we should be sending out to people to come here and invest in. We can't knock the town like some of us are doing. If we're saying we've got high unemployment, children living in poverty, and that's the message we're sending out. Nobody's going to write a cheque and base their next unit here in Middlesbrough. We've got to tell them why they should be investing in here. I used to be a broadcaster. I can communicate that message. But I'm not promising I can do this alone. I can't. We're going to do it. And one of the key pillars of my campaign has already started, the initiative is put together, and I will offer it, if I'm not successful, to the Mayor-elect, whoever that may be. And that is with mayoral advisory groups. There are 4 in place now. Business and enterprise. And there are key business leaders, and enterprise concerned is the one which is community and faith. It's already established. I've been talking into the community. What a fantastic job BME is doing. The Sudanese community, Abdar, with the gardening initiative in Albert Park, with the cycling initiative. You know, they don't just grow, they're also cooking as well and integrating those seeking asylum and refugees in this town of ours to understand what it is to be British. They're the sort of people I'm going to call upon as Mayor to sort this mess out. And just one final point to leave you on. My last job was Vice President of Fox Television. I headed a £1.6 billion department, which was business development. I've been negotiating with people like Tunku Makota of Pahang, means nothing to you maybe. He's the future king of Malaysia. When you're negotiating with those people who have that sort of wealth, it is tough, but I've done it and I've succeeded, and I will make sure Middlesbrough succeeds. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Dave Roberts, independent candidate. Moving on to Len Junior, independent candidate.
Thanks, boss. I was looking through my pockets from your cards. I've got £1 million there somewhere and £1 billion there. All these numbers that people keep talking about. I'm a border lad, Middlesbrough guy, and I'm an immigrant of sorts myself. I was born in Portrack, a little village in Stockton, you know, and so I'm an immigrant myself. We're all immigrants, you know. Every single one of us in this room is an immigrant. You know, and it amazes me when I hear people, politicians, who every 4 years, or whenever there's an election, suddenly realise there's a mosque in Middlesbrough somewhere, or suddenly realise there's a group somewhere. I know all about prejudice, I know all about difference. As a child in a wheelchair for 4.5 years, I was treated differently. There was prejudice against me. As a homeless young guy, I was treated differently. There was prejudice against me. So I know all about difference. I know all about being treated differently because you're different yourself. But it shouldn't be about all that. It shouldn't be about who's been in the mosque more times than me. It shouldn't be about which kings I know. It shouldn't be about which royal family member I've sat with on a train. It should be about who are you and why are you right for Middlesbrough. I said I'm a borough guy, I'm a passionate borough guy, I'm a family man. I've got my kids growing up here and my grandkids growing up here. I've invested in the town by living here, which is a good start, I think. And you've got an opportunity to put in place a mayor that lives in the town, one that has experience, knowledge, skills about networks, you know, one that knows people in the town that can make a difference. You know, you all can make a difference. And one of the issues I have with when we have a specific group, the other night it was senior citizens, tonight it's the BME community, and we've got young people at the college. I'd have probably been happier to have 10 of these things across the town and invite everyone. Nothing special about one group or another, but whilst we're on about the BME community, and whilst you guys are here, I've spent most of my adult life as an anti-fascist. I've set up organisational groups that have fought the EDL. I've had threats, I've been attacked. You know, and those people come to our town and wanted to take it over. Those people thought they would scare our people from the streets, but you know what, they didn't, because you wouldn't allow it. And you got together in your hundreds and your thousands, and you marched down Linthorpe Road, and I walked proudly in front of you, because that's what we're about as a town. We are about celebrating diversity, about celebrating difference, regardless of colour, creed, sexuality, physical ability or mental ability. That's what we are good at. We are one of the best towns. We're a small town in Europe, Middlesbrough, I would say, and that's true, we are. But we're a very together town. We have a utopian society in a lot of ways. We don't have issues with the ultra-right marching in our streets unopposed. We don't have issues of that kind of ultra-prejudice. But behind all that, it does exist. And we'd be silly, we would be, you know, being dishonest if we said it didn't exist. We do have issues about immigration. We do have issues about the amount of new arrival families that have been sent to Middlesbrough, and maybe other towns could be picking up some of that weight now. But yes, I'll make a difference, and I'll make a difference in lots of ways, in 3 or 4 ways in particular. This town has not got currently an open, a transparent, and in some senses, outwardly an honest administration. There's nothing massively wrong, apart from it isn't open enough. You guys don't know what goes on in the town hall because you're not allowed to see what goes on. Far too many meetings held behind closed doors, far too many meetings with grey paper reports that you will never ever get to see the light of day. Well, I'll change that. We need regular, town-wide, open-door surgeries for your mayor. We need themed debates in the town hall where you will decide what those themes are. It exists in our current constitution, but it's never used because people don't know they can. We need to bring together the highly skilled employers and employees that we've already got. We need to replicate that. We need to work with small and medium enterprises, those organisations that are likely to employ 1, 2 or maybe 3 more people at a push in the next 6 to 12 months. And then we need to go back to our educators and say, these are the people these employers need. It's your job, your role now, to create those people, to form those people from the core that we've got here.
Thank you, Lynn.
Is that time?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Lynn Junior, independent candidate. Move on to our final candidate, Mike Carr, again, independent candidate.
Thank you. Can you all hear at the back? Yeah, good. My name's Mike Carr. I'm here to ask for your support in the mayoral election, and I've heard some very good ideas tonight. I'm not clever enough to think that I have all of the answers, and I am sensible enough to listen to people who have good ideas. I hope that you will bear with me as I explain why I think I should be given the opportunity, the privilege and the position of Mayor of your town, our town. I live in the town and I have done all of my adult life. My children are educated here. I have a human investment in the success of this town, not a financial investment. I don't have any financial investments. I own my house, just, and it's well and truly mortgaged. I came to the town when I was 19. I came to the town because both of my parents had passed away and I needed to be in the northeast to settle my father's estate. He was a policeman all of his life, so he didn't have a great deal of money and he certainly didn't have a great deal to leave to his children. But what I was left, I managed to get a house with, again with a loan. I seem to spend my life avoiding bankers. I think a lot of you know how it feels to struggle with finances. I certainly do. I haven't handled multi-million-pound investments except through my role working for you, for the town, as a councillor for 16 years. 16 years. I'm 56. I came to the town at 19. During that time, I haven't just talked about doing things for the town, I've done things for the town. I haven't turned up age 56 and said, in the future I'm going to do this. In the future I'm going to do that. All I can promise you is the commitment that I demonstrated over 16 years as a councillor in this area, representing people like yourselves who have a common interest in seeing this town prosper. I've been on demonstrations against racists. I'll stand shoulder to shoulder with anyone. My first one was when I was 17 in Brick Lane in London. And those were the days when it was all somewhere else, except it wasn't. I chaired the Racial Harassment Multi-Agency Forum and brought together good practice from all over the north and some further afield to tackle racial harassment in our town. Yes, it happened and it still happens. I'm the only person in this room who stood against the demolition of Gresham. And some might say, well, what's that to do with the community we're talking about this evening? Well, I think housing and opportunity and the opportunity to have a safe, secure place to live is massively important to all of us. And I think taking away a house before you've got the money to build another one is plainly stupid. And I oppose this. I made a pledge never to demolish until we can build better. But I also want to see practical improvements to the town. 30 years ago, some of us managed to get help to modernise their houses, to fix dampness, to fix the roofs. Do you remember the 30-year life you had to show on a certificate? Well, lo and behold, that 30 years is up now. And where's the plans to keep those 2 up and 2 downs thoroughly modernised, well warm, safe and secure? Those plans have to be put in place, and if I'm your mayor, I will make it a priority to give people the assistance they need to look after their own home and to promote social housing for those who can't have their own home. I served for 4 years as mayor of, I was civic mayor incidentally, 4 years as chair of housing. As chairman of housing, I got rent debt down by $500,000, focusing on those people who had 2 cars on the driveway and didn't pay the rent. Those who had 2 holidays but didn't pay the rent because you didn't need to. Well, actually you did when I became chairman of housing, because those people who could pay were made to pay. I think we need to invest in public buildings as well as private homes. I think we need to ensure that the homes are fuel efficient and that the good policies that have been put around in some parts of the town are promoted across the whole of the town. I'd like to thank you for being here tonight, as Peter thanked originally, for giving our time. I think all of you deserve a better mayor. We deserve a better town. Middlesbrough deserves better.
Thank you, Mayor. Right, we've heard all the 5 candidates give a vision and an overview of their brief view of what they will do if they become mayor. Now it's the time of the public to put their questions forward and see if you get the answers of substance which you require from all these candidates. So we'll move on to the question and answer session. The first question is from Mr. Najabat Ramzan.
My question is, Middlesbrough has the highest level of asylum seeker dispersal per head of population in the country. As a mayor, how do you propose to support the excellent voluntary sector organisations who have filled the gap in the provision of support services to this community following the closure of council services?
Thank you, Najabat. This question first will go to Andy Preston, and he has 90 seconds to respond.
Thank you. I've already done this. I've done this. I have already delivered money and resources and contacts to groups that do that kind of work in this town. What's brilliant is the money to do that came from businesses and rich people. Didn't come from poor people, didn't come out of the council tax. So I would love to find some council money to help. I don't know if I can, but I promise you this, I'm on that side. I've already done it, and I'll do even more. Thank you.
Thank you. Dave Wood.
Thank you. I think, first of all, I'd like to say that this is a very, very welcoming town, and I think in spite of, or because of the fact that it's built on immigration, we have welcomed asylum seekers, and I'm sure, I hope that we would all agree with that must continue. The problem has been that this was a privatised government contract. At one time, local authorities had control of it. They were also given money for social needs, not just housing needs. And now we've got a privatised contract and a subcontract where the subcontractor has a lot of houses in the centre of Middlesbrough. That is why our asylum seeker numbers are too high. We're already trying to negotiate that number down, not with the existing people that are here, but so that it doesn't continue to grow. Somebody, inevitably, is making a lot of money out of this, and it is not anybody who lives in this town. So yes, we can and will and should get the numbers down, but what we mustn't say in any way to try to make personal or political advantage about this is that we do not want those people here. I've met a lot of asylum seekers. There are some incredibly talented people and some people with really awful background stories. We must continue to welcome them.
Thank you. Moving on to Dave Roberts.
Fantastic question. I spent some time with Dr. Pete Widwinski, Justice First, and he took me throughout the office, allowed me to meet some of the people seeking asylum, and it's frightening to think you could end up in that circumstance. I live in Britain, I'm insulated from that. But some of the stories I've been told, I've met people like Albini I mentioned earlier, who are responsible for the projects that they're running in and around Albert Park and many more. I think it's absolutely vital council has to support that. Now, we may not be able to support it financially, but there are many other ways we can support that by making it easy and making it more accessible and using council infrastructure to help these projects. I would like to see the council look to see if there's some sort of funding. We've got to be smart in the way we do business. We don't hive off 27 services and give them to Norfolk Council to run under the pretense of privatisation. We should be smarter with local authorities around this area. See if we can do some backroom work together and combine to save some money which can be put into the community.
Moving on to Len Jr.
That's a great question, brother. There's a number of ways of answering this, and the first one is that we open our doors gladly in Middlesbrough. We're a very welcoming town. It's been said, but it's true. The numbers are higher in Middlesbrough than they are anywhere else. We do need to be working with the other authorities across Tees and across the city region to see why it is that we get greater numbers than other parts of the town, other towns. You know. But we equally have to make sure, and I think this is perhaps the focus of the question, and it appears to me that it was, that those that are here are looked after properly, cared for, professionally. And that isn't happening in a minute. I've worked with asylum seeker families, new arrival families. Some real horrendous stories, things that you couldn't imagine, and I wouldn't discuss in a public forum. But as council services are cut, as austerity measures kick in, we do have to make sure that if the third sector is going to pick up the back and run with it, that they have the capacity, that they have the strength. And if the local council isn't going to do it, well, who is? So there's a multifaceted answer to this. It is about business, but it is actually about our money, your money, council tax money being properly used and properly brought into the town. The government doesn't do enough. The whole NAS service needs to be scrapped and start again. The National Asylum Seeker Service programmes are hopelessly inadequate. The ability that landlords get to be able to rob money out of this system and take it away from families, hard-working families, and those that want to work and can't, it's just ridiculous. So yes, we have got more than other towns. Do I think we've got too many? I actually don't, no. I think that what we are is a very diverse community. I'm proud to be so.
Thank you, Len. Finally, Mike.
Thank you. I think we've got to get one thing clear from the outset. Asylum seekers are not a problem. Asylum seekers are escaping from problems, and asylum seekers deserve support in dealing with the issues of being dislocated from the normal support that they would enjoy were they blessed with a kind of easy life that I have by comparison. One of the best stories Middlesbrough ever had in the news that I recall was when I was chair of housing, and an asylum-seeking family were to be relocated and housed in an East Middlesbrough house. And it was suggested to me that they couldn't live there because they wouldn't be accepted. The press took an interest because the people of East Middlesbrough came out to their houses and provided them with everything, from knives and forks to tellies and beds and bedding and clothes. And it was a wonderful response from a wonderful town and a brilliant community. Support comes in all shapes and sizes. Priorities do too. And if we need to support voluntary organisations, I don't think it's right to pick and choose, but I do think we have to focus our resources where the need is greatest, no matter what the colour of the face, or which town they were born in, or which country they come from. Need is a human thing, and I think Middlesbrough is used to responding to human need very well. Long may that continue.
Thank you. I think the voluntary sector in Middlesbrough do a tremendous job in plugging the gap of services, and I think we've got to congratulate our VCS sector in doing the great work that they do. Thank you for that question. Moving on to question 2, which is from Paul Cattrall.
Related to the previous question, how do you see Middlesbrough Council's lead role in the recently re-established North East Strategic Migration Partnership developing in view of the current levels of economic migration and asylum seeker dispersal to the town?
That would start off with Len Jr.
Thanks. Great question again. And the answer is linked to the answer that we gave previously in a lot of ways. Middlesbrough, for me, is the heart of the Tees Valley, and the Tees Valley is the heart of the North East. So when we look at this North East Migration Partnership, I have to say, I'm not so sure the right people sit on it. That's one of the problems. There are people in there who are imposed. There are people in there whose professional job it is to sit there. There's much relevance, in my view, from the third sector, from the new arrival families themselves. There's no real champion in there. So that's where I think Middlesbrough needs to be. I think Middlesbrough, given the diverse community we've got, given our history of immigration, given our history of welcome and support, needs to be the drumbeater that says this is a good thing, how can we develop it yet further, but equally, how do we resource it? Because it's really, really poorly resourced at the minute as well.
Thank you, Len. Moving on to Dave Roberts.
I think Middlesbrough needs to be a leader in any partnership regionally, simply because 11.8% of our population is BME, because we are the only town, as we keep being told by the media, which has higher than the national cap as far as people seeking asylum and refugees are concerned. So therefore there are just two statistics which says we should have a very loud voice because we have the most experience of living in such a diverse community. I agree with Len when he talks about Middlesbrough is the heartbeat of Tees Valley, and I'm not somebody who supports this Tees Valley idea. We should be leading in many aspects. Your question was specific to the point you raised. We also should be leading in the combined authority, TVU, and as, I'm sure Stockton would disagree, but as the leading unitary authority in all kinds of initiatives that they lead.
Thank you. Pass that on to Mike Carr.
Have you noticed that I always go last? Not really sure why that is the case, and somebody will probably do something about it. But anyway, we asked the question about the Council's lead role in the North East Strategic Migration Strategy is about pulling together the pieces of the jigsaw that don't automatically fit for themselves. Strategy is about bringing together resources that are diverse and good ideas. These are things that Middlesbrough are good at. We also would be good at leading given the opportunity. But what I do think we need to do is concentrate primarily on our strengths and listen to other people who are providing in other ways in other places. And learn from best practice, share it, pull together the resources and deliver what we can in the best way that we can. Backed up by the principles I spoke about earlier, recognising need of people primarily, and how we address that need and how we use limited facilities and resources available to us to strengthen the voluntary sector response, to strengthen and empower people who are a resource, not a problem. And I think it starts with that priority setting, seeing the people who need the help as a resource and not a problem.
Thank you. Dave Wood.
I have a horror, Paul, that you know more about this than I do. The Strategic Migration Partnership, for those not aware, falls under the Association of North East Councils. It was led for some time by Sunderland, and I think, fair to say, it wasn't very effective. We've recently... yeah. I'm sure I've done that.
Stick to politics.
Okay, sorry. Right. We've effectively brought Middlesbrough in control of that partnership now. It's funded by the whole of the North East, but it runs from Middlesbrough, partly because of the asylum seeker numbers that we've talked about earlier. Stockton also is greatly affected by that. Again, because the owner of the properties that the asylum seekers are living in, Joe Moss Properties, Stuart Monk, has all the properties in those areas. That is the only reason why the numbers are the way they are. What we are doing with that partnership is actually providing some support for people. We are wanting to improve. It relates really back to the last question. We want to improve the support. We want the support to come with the people rather than the voluntary sector having to sort of firefight really. So that's only been in place for a few months now. I think it's beginning to bear some fruit. Whether the contractor G4S a wonderful organisation, if ever I heard one. Whether they will take any notice, whether the government will take any notice, I'm not sure, but we will try.
Thank you, Dave. Andy Preston?
I'm going to be really honest, I don't know. To be really honest, I'm not familiar with the partnership. I learned a really important lesson years ago from a very clever man. Never bullshit. If you don't know, say you don't know. But you know what I love? I love the idea of Middlesbrough taking the lead. That's what I really love. I want to see that. And the truth is, these things often don't need that much money. You can do incredible things on small amounts of money, and I would love to help. I would love to work with you whether I'm mayor. I would love to work with you whether I'm not mayor. So, thanks for bringing it up. I hadn't heard of it before. I know what it is now. Thank you.
Thank you. I think it's really good to hear that if someone's not sure about something, they would say, and honesty prevails at the end. Also, the North East Strategic Migration Partnership, it's good to see that Middlesbrough is taking a lead role. I've been involved in that for a number of years previously, and it was solely the north of the river based in Sunderland, Newcastle, and Middlesbrough was an afterthought, so I think we're at the forefront now, and that's really good. Moving on to the third question, which is from Sahid Rashid.
Thank you. Good evening, candidates. My question is this: the indices of deprivation place Middlesbrough amongst the 10% of most deprived areas in the country, and I believe the key to success of this is SMEs in the area. As a small business owner of a design and print company myself, I know how important this is. If you were elected as mayor, what would you put in place to ensure SMEs get the support they need to start, flourish and grow and make Middlesbrough prosperous?
Thank you, Steve. And your previous comments, Mike, you're always last. We'll put you first this time.
I'd like to stand up so I can see people at the back. You can still hear? Yeah, brilliant. Thank you for that. How do we help small and medium-sized enterprises in the BME community? The same way as we help small and medium-sized enterprises right across this town and right across the North East and up and down the country. Basically, we've got to recognise skills and talent, and we sometimes have to support and promote skills and talent. And I see a lot of skills and skilled people and business people right at the back of the room and all the way through the audience in front of me now. I think essentially we've got to recognise skills where they exist, prosper and promote those skills through active intervention, particularly when people leave college. I think younger people have a lot more dynamism quite often. They have a bit of experience, but they do have enthusiasm and energy and commitment and initiative and ideas. Older people like me sometimes have that knocked out of them. I hope I don't, I hope I haven't, but nonetheless, immediately out of college we should have incubation for people who've got skills, who want to start small businesses. We should help people who become joiners, bricklayers or clothing manufacturers or whatever. We should support people readily, we should invest in them willingly, where we can get that investment, and I'm sure we know a banker somewhere who's going to help with that side of the equation. But I think we have to recognise the problem. And I hope you don't say that as bullshit, but realistically that's what I believe and I've been pushing for a few years now. I work with unemployed people, I'm helping people get back into jobs on a day-to-day basis, and I've been fighting against unemployment in this town for 30 years. My time's up. I will name drop once. I even met Margaret Thatcher in a private office and gave her shit over the lack of jobs. On behalf of the young unemployed people in Middlesbrough, let me quickly tell you, the Evening Gazette gave 6 column inches to a man who was caught robbing food from the butchers in North Ormsby. And it said, meat thief gets the chop. And I was on page 3, having met Margaret Thatcher on behalf of young unemployed people. Where's the sense in all that?
Thank you. I'm not sure whether you should have mentioned Margaret Thatcher. But moving on to Andy Preston.
I love this question. This is my thing, right? This is what I believe in. Businesses, and it's small businesses that create the jobs. If Middlesbrough's going to prosper, we need more small businesses. We've been rubbish at that. It's not our fault, it's because we had a small number of big employers. My dad worked at Acton Steelworks, right? He worked with his dad and his brother. When the steelworks and the other industries ended in 1982 and I was leaving school, I couldn't get a job. Slowly we're catching up, we're launching businesses like you do. We need twice as many, we create twice as many jobs, we create twice as many businesses in town, twice as many restaurants, twice as many lawyers. We can have a situation where the brightest kids don't have to leave to get a career. You don't need government money for this, we can do it here. We need policies like a Dragon's Den for school to inspire entrepreneurs. That's what I'll do, and I know how to fund it. I'll create a Dragon's Den for adults. I'll link big businesses with small businesses so our small businesses have got a good chance of winning business from the big employers. I know how to do that, that's what I do. I will personally get involved and champion our businesses. I'll create more businesses with everyone else, and I'll make sure we create the jobs and the prosperity that change the lives and change the town. Thank you.
Thank you. The last speech knocked the town again. Let me ask you a question. Which was the area of the country which created most small businesses outside of London in the last 2 years? Teesside. Proven. Not speculation, not something that was going to happen, something that has happened. We are doing it. We are getting good at doing this. We can get a lot better at it. It's about changing the culture of the town, changing the aspiration of some of the people in it, changing the ambitions of people in it, creating opportunities from the college, continuing to grow from the university. We are getting many more graduates staying here with their own businesses. This is beginning to change this town, and we shouldn't knock it. We should continue doing what we're good at.
Thank you, Dave. Dave Roberts.
Thanks. This is my thing as well. I wouldn't do a Dragon's Den because only the elite win competitions. I want all of people in Middlesbrough to benefit as far as my mayorship would be concerned. How would I do that? I'd put Middlesbrough first. Why the hell do councils, including Middlesbrough, outsource services outside of the town? If we need a printing job doing, it goes to a Middlesbrough printer first. If we need bins emptying, I won't be looking at Norfolk. We need Middlesbrough to be easy to do business in. So let's have a look at cutting the red tape. Why did we lose Barker and Stonehouse, who wanted for 5 years to build their showpiece showroom in Middlesbrough? They've gone to Stockton. That is wrong, that will stop. We will make Middlesbrough the place to do business and very easy to do business. Vocational training, 14% of our youngsters go into vocational training. The national average is 40%. We've got Middlesbrough College sitting on our doorstep with its STEM centre, which has the best facilities the UK can offer. We've got to increase training, we've got to increase development, we've got to get to our local business and say, take an apprentice, even if it's one each. How many businesses do we have? We'll certainly have 200 apprenticeships created, and that doesn't cost a bean. We've got to put Middlesbrough first to create jobs.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Buzz. Just to get back to the question, which was about SMEs that everybody else thinks we've forgotten. I've got to claim the fame. I'm Maggie Thatcher as well. I once got arrested when I was 18 for throwing wood balls at her. And the Bobby honestly said he arrested me because I missed. But there you go. I didn't get charged with anything. In my earlier speech, I talked about SMEs. And it's great that a town like Middlesbrough should be interested in bringing in the big players, yeah, the Hitachis, the Asdas, the Tesco's, all that. But this guy here is dead right. That, you know, as an innovative town, a town of people who've created things, invented things, we really do need to rely much more on our small to medium enterprises. We do need to talk to them about employing 1, 2 or 3 more people. And what does that person look like in the sense of skills, background, knowledge, training, and then we need to go to our educators and tell them that's what these employers need. We've got the best employers in that sense in small business. We've got the best educators. We've got one of the best universities in the country, and we've definitely got one of the best colleges in the country. At the minute, it's just a little disjointed. Nobody really seems that keen on bringing it all together, bringing it all to the same table. And if we do that, we'll have 10 more people like this gentleman over here, and then a month later we'll have 20 more and 50 more. We had a plan in Middlesbrough once where we were giving people an opportunity to have a go at business for 6 months. Where's that gone? Bring it back.
Thank you, Len.
all of the candidates for mayor. I received that on Saturday, and if everybody is ready, and I hope they are, I want to ask the mayor who will be elected, will he have a look and make sure that people from the Labour councillors and executive councillors don't receive the money what is being given, because that is 1,500,000 over 3 years. I'm saying is that, and I've listened to you tonight, the things that is being shut, all the people's places where they can go and enjoy themselves. I'm chairman of the Middlesbrough Senior Citizens Forum. I'm a volunteer with 60 years service. It hasn't cost Middlesbrough a penny for me, because I've done it because I love Middlesbrough. What I'm asking now is whoever is elected, look into the pay structure for the Labour Party and the executive, because we're paying them far too much for what, and they're doing nothing for us. Bye.
I want to cut the amount of money that part-time politicians get paid. Because some of them have got jobs and they're bringing in an extra 20 odd grand a year. And I just think it's way too much in this era of like horrible, tough, cruel cutbacks. There's no solidarity. We need to show solidarity between the politicians and the people. One of the first things I'll do is reduce the number of executives. That'll cut the bill down. I don't want to point fingers at any individuals because I don't know all the facts. But I have a feeling that there are some pretty horrible claims that have been made out there over the years. And I think Middlesbrough's... Okay, Middlesbrough needs to move on. I will reduce the cost. What Les Force has said there is felt by the majority of the people out there, and as Mayor, I will clamp down on those costs on day one.
It's okay to be a Labour candidate.
Carry on, please.
I'm not a Labour candidate. Never have been, never want to be. Les, good question. Thank you. I would love to add tremendously to what Andy has said, but I can't, because we share a similar view on here. One of my responsibilities as Mayor, if I'm elected, is to choose my executive councils. As I believe we can have anywhere between 2 and 9. There will be no jobs for the boys. The most suitable candidates will get those positions, and I want a minimum number of executive councillors running a minimum number of executive councils that will make us efficient and effective in serving the people of Middlesbrough.
Thank you.
Yeah, excellent question. I start from the point of view of a trade unionist who says you should be paid the rate for the job. I think a lot of people are being paid more than the rate for the job. I know, for example, that there are cards to get in and out of the town hall that can record exactly how many hours people have spent in the town hall for the money they claimed. So if you're looking at £20,000 or whatever for somebody on the executive, wouldn't it be interesting to know just exactly how many hours they've worked for that? Because I think you're entitled to know. And the openness that we've talked about here extends fully to you being sure that whatever they get paid, whether it's £5 or £5 grand or 50 grand, they're working hard for that, and that they're not getting 50 grand for one day's work, they're getting a decent pay for a decent day's work. Can I just say one other thing? Commitment quickly. The independent panel that looked into, and 1 or 2 people in the room participated in that, the independent panel that arrived at the allowance system, in my view, was appointed by the Mayor, and it wasn't independent. I want an independent panel made up from the people of the town to decide what allowances should be.
Yes, it's a lovely piece of propaganda that you've worked around, Les. Congratulations.
Carry on, please.
Unattributed.
Can we let him give his answer, please?
Can we give him tissue?
Come on, Dave.
Yeah. unattributed, nobody will claim the so-called credit for putting it out. It's already been mentioned that an independent panel, which has included people who are in this room now, who I assume you're not going to criticise, who have arrived at those figures. That is a fair way of doing it. The council has no input whatsoever into those figures. What we hear every now and then is that people are being paid too much, and that's an opinion, that's fine. What we also hear is people can't afford to become councillors and work at it because they're doing something else, or they haven't got the time, or they're too young, or they're a student and don't get any remuneration for it. I mean, you can't have it both ways. A lot of the amounts paid in Middlesbrough are lower than in the area around about. They're all arrived at in a different way. The council has actually refused any increases for the last 4 years, I believe. And let's get the language right. Most of these are allowances, not claims.
Thank you. Len Junior.
Thanks, Chair. I'll sample this one. I don't mind pointing people out, and I don't mind telling all of you here. I'll be delivering that leaflet on Saturday. It's not my leaflet, but I'll be gladly deliver it, and I'll make sure it gets delivered to every house in the town. We've got people sat in this room. It's just the army still here, getting £2.50 to go to a remembrance service for our more dead, for a remembrance service. That's the truth. That's the truth. And I hope myself and other people in this town will get the truth to every one of your households about the obscene claims. Yeah, it isn't just about allowances. Everybody should get an allowance. I agree with that. But I'll tell you the first thing I'll do when I'm mayor. I will be fighting this so-called independent panel to look for a 50% reduction, which we asked this council to go for a 5% reduction not long ago, and the Labour Party block vote voted me out.
Thank you, Mike. Moving on, we push the time. Take 2 more questions. We've got a question from Christine Bell.
The mayoral system invests too much power in one person. And it's also said that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Do you agree with these statements, and what would you do to ensure that these statements would not be said about you if you become the Mayor of Middlesbrough?
Thank you, Christine. We'll start off with Mike.
Oh, I can go first. Thank you. First time right. Excellent question, and I have already mentioned one thing I do to make sure that time is not on the side of somebody who wants to abuse that position. I honestly don't think there's anybody sat in the room at the moment, let alone on the top table here, who would abuse their position to that degree. But if there are, there should be safeguards to prevent it from happening. The first one is to be sure that they only serve 2 terms of office, and it's in my manifesto and not anyone else's. And it's not explicit, it certainly was 4 years ago, and I've made it publicly on tape, a commitment to all of you here tonight. The Mayor should only stand for 2 terms maximum. And also, I also mentioned that we'd have films and cameras in every corner of every room, unless there was a reason to do with social services or privacy that can't be overcome, because the public shouldn't see what's happening to someone's children in a care case and things like that. And on occasions when business requirements, because we want to compete with Newcastle and beat Sunderland on the football pitch and everywhere else. And we need sometimes to protect commercial confidentiality, but with very few exceptions there will be a presumption in favour of allowing everyone to have access to the information and to see the decisions before, during and after they're taken, not only a long time after if you dig hard enough.
Thank you, Mike. Any questions?
I was in Brambles Farm 4 weeks ago. I went to a school, Brambles Primary Academy. I'm going to ask you all a question now. So you've got Brambles Primary Academy, based in Brambles Farm with the challenges it's got, bottom 1% in deprivation. And then you've got Yarm Primary School. Which one gets the best SATS results?
Brambles Farm.
It's Brambles Farm against all of the odds. And do you know what it is? It's the leadership. It's the leadership, the confidence and the strength of the head who sets the tone in that school with brilliant teachers. If you have strong leadership, you can do incredible things, whether they're a business, a charity, a town or a family. Leadership is very dangerous though. Leadership must be visible, accountable and absolutely answerable. So long as we've got a mayor who is genuinely accountable and answerable, I believe in the role of mayor. Thank you.
Thanks, Baz. Yeah, it is a good question, actually. I do agree with the statements that you made. I think power does corrupt, and absolute power can corrupt absolutely. And how do you deal with that then? I think you deal with it in lots of ways. With that sort of power comes lots of responsibility. So you open up the decision-making processes to people. You know, why couldn't we have a full council meeting in Thornton, in Nunthorpe, in Martin, in Brecon Hill? Why does this full council meeting have to be in this wonderful old building? Actually, the people at Middlesbrough own already, by the way. Hardly anybody comes to there, those that attend them regularly. We need to open up decision making. I'll tell you one quick way I would do that. In Middlesbrough, we have some excellent scrutiny panels. Some of the work that goes on those scrutiny panels is picked up nationally. Why do they all have to be chaired by a councillor? If we've got a health scrutiny programme, why can't we have a retired nurse, or a retired doctor, or a semi-retired to come in and do that? If it's about business, why can't we have Andy Preston coming in chairman? He knows about business, because obviously you won't be mayor. So then, you know, you mentioned Brambles Primary. I'm a governor at Brambles Primary and Corpus Christi. Brambles and Corpus are two wonderful schools based in the wonderful East Middlesbrough, and they are examples of what can be done. Brambles was turned around in 2 years, yes, by the head, but more importantly, it was turned around by the parents, because the parents bought into what the governors and the head wanted to
Thank
do.
you, Lynn.
Do the same with your council.
Just like to say, Andy Jane's a wonderful woman. The work she's doing at Brambles Farm is outstanding. The same as Katrina at Pennyman's. Power corrupts, yes it does. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. I've seen it happen in the past. Unfortunately, I've been on the receiving end of it. Yeah. It is very, very dangerous. And yes, it's a gamble, isn't it? It's a risk to have a democratically elected mayor who gets increased power. You've got to be confident who you put your ex next to when it comes to May the 7th, and we'll find out on May the 8th who you have faith in. But that person is going to be accountable to you. Because coming with the extra powers comes extra accountability. That's why the government wants them, wants to have democratically elected mayors. That person should be challenged by you, should be challenged by his cabinet, should be challenged by anybody who wants to challenge that mayor. And they must be man or woman enough to be able to stand up and say, yes, I'm making a mistake, I'm forcing something through I shouldn't be forced through, and if they don't do that, we've mentioned it earlier, it's a vote of no confidence, and that person should be stand down.
Thank you.
Yeah, the reality is the mayor or the head of a school is a leader, but if they're a dictator, they won't take people with them. Unless you take in any form of life, unless you take people with you, you won't last very long. You will get that. You will then get that vote of no confidence, and then you will go. So it's more a team leader. If anybody doesn't understand how a council works, let me explain.
Finish the question, please.
Perhaps let me explain it. The mayor may well be the figurehead. They cannot take decisions on every little thing. So they set the tone, they set the culture, they set the goals of the organisation, and other people do the things that get us there. So let's not pretend that everything goes through one individual. A team leader is only as good as the people that they're leading and the way in which they are leading it.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you very much for all the candidates. As the question and answer session is over, we're running late, so we've had quite a few questions. Finally, I'm going to give each candidate 1 minute for closing remarks, 60 seconds for each candidate. I'm going to start off with Len Jr.
Thanks, Baz. Those of you who know me will find it very difficult to fit anything into 1 minute, and I am gobby. I apologise for that. Do you know, I'm passionate about this town, and I have been for many, many years. Decades I've lived and worked here, in the public sector, in the private sector, in the third sector. As a community volunteer, as the chairman of a thing called STEM, which was Stronger Together in East Middlesbrough, as a school governor in a number of schools, and as a mentor in our local university and our college. That's who I am. I'm about people. If you want a people's mayor, if you want somebody who will actually give you the facts and the truth and open the town hall up to real scrutiny, to real involvement of the people, you have to remember, as much as we can blame the government for what's gone on, governments don't run councils, councillors do. As your mayor, I will ensure that those people, well, I will surely get paid, but make sure they do what they get paid for.
Thank you, Len. Andy?
I'm sorry, I have to stand up. Okay, I'm moving dead fast. Tonight, someone else in the panel said to me, said, why are you doing it? Why are you standing for mayor? My wife says the same thing. My friends say the same thing. I don't need status. I don't need a job. I'm not looking for money. I'm doing it because I genuinely give a damn. Thank you. I'll get something out of it. I'll get a sense of satisfaction of being at the centre of things and trying to make good things happen. I do believe in the town. I do believe in the future of the town. But I do believe that we need strong leadership, and I believe I can do that. And I think what you need to do is not listen to what people say. My background is investment. Don't listen to what people say. Watch what they do. And the world has changed now. You can see what anybody's done for years and years and years. Go on the internet and Google them. Don't pay too much attention to the last few months. Look and see what people have done. Google me, Google others. Thank you.
Well, I can't sell snow to Eskimos. What I can tell you is that we have a very important decision to make on the 7th. I'd like you to weigh all of us up and decide for yourself who you will trust with the town. I think it's important that you opt for somebody who lives here, genuinely makes it his permanent home, somebody who's invested.
Irrelevant.
It's extremely relevant. Somebody who's invested not only his time over many years, but his commitment through education in terms of chairing the Board of Governor for 12 years, as I did at Brecon Hill, and worked in the town and devoted himself or herself to that town consistently, as I did over 16 years as a councillor. I think you need to know those people, and many in this room know me, and have supported me in the work I did in the past, and supported me at the last election 4 years ago. I urge you to support me again.
Thank you, Mike.
A lot of good people. I'd like very much to do better for Middlesbrough, because Middlesbrough deserves better.
Thank you. I have the experience and the knowledge and the passion about this town. I've never walked away from anything. I've been here for a long time, in spite of difficulties and in...
Please.
Can the floor just listen, please?
Those are the brought in people.
Okay.
Can the floor listen, please? Please. Everybody, good evening. Can we just keep it like that, please? Thank you.
Think of ambition. Think of where we will be in 5 years' time. In 5 years' time, Middlesbrough will be the university city at the centre of a city region of 650,000 people, with all of the ambition and all of the aspiration that implies. We can do that. We're getting there, and I can take us there.
Thank you, David. Dave Roberts.
I'll do the standing up and walking around. Why do I want to be mayor, and why do I want you to vote for me? I'm a Middlesbrough lad through and through. I love this town. I'm passionate about this town. I will not knock this town, no matter what platform I'm using. I will promote the town. I will sell the town. My background is engineering, media, broadcasting, and business development. I think I have the skill set to make Middlesbrough very, very successful through rolling up my sleeves, getting stuck in myself, and doing the same sort of business I will ask others around me to do. As a final mention to the BME Network, I don't care about the colour of your skin. I don't care about creed, faith, religion, which community you come from. I will also roll my sleeves up and work damn hard and fight for every single one of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much to all the candidates. I'll take this opportunity to thank them all for their remarks, and also, most importantly, the community that have come out in good numbers, which shows the interest that there is, and hopefully we'll see that interest on the 7th. You've heard all the arguments, you've heard the arguments from each of the candidates and your views, what you think, so hopefully you'll express your opinions and views and you'll select the right person for Middlesbrough, and hopefully that person will take Middlesbrough onwards and upwards. Thank you very much for coming.